I am a computer science teacher. I have been teaching computer science for the past 4 years. One of the things that I do when I watch movies or TV shows is I like to pause when they show code or show hacking on screen and kind of break down what's going on screen. So I thought that I would do that here. The first one that I've chosen is Stranger Things Season 2, Episode 8. This is when Bob goes and does the Jurassic Park thing where he has to hack into the system and reboot the doors.
If you want to unlock the doors, you have to completely reboot the computer system and then override the security codes with a manual input.
So Bob here basically just explains the plot of Jurassic Park.
Fine, how do I do that?
You can't, not unless you know BASIC.
I don't know what that means.
It's a computer programming language.
BASIC is an older programming language. It's fallen a little bit out of date now and has been replaced by newer things like C and C++. It would be something that a computer system made by the government would use back in 1984. It's a pretty basic computer system. It is something that Bob would probably know from fixing up computers.
All right, teach it to me.
Shall I teach you French while I'm at it, Jim? How about a little German?
And he's right. I see people all the time. They're like, oh, I could just go and learn computer code. It's not that hard. But it really is like learning a whole new language. It's got its own syntax and everything.
How about you, Doc? You speak BASIC? No.
Him as a medical doctor obviously wouldn't know BASIC any more than any medical doctor today would know something like Python or Java.
Loud and clear, Doc. Can you hear me back?
Yeah, we hear you all right.
Okay, right away, Bob boots up an IBM computer, which would probably be the type of computer that you'd see most common at a military installation like this. He immediately boots it up, and we get a screen that says Hawkins National Laboratory Facility System, goes through the version number, the copyright 1982, the current date November 11th, 1984, the current time, and then it says ready. When we're talking about what Bob is about to do, ready is the important word here. Ready here being the important word because it shows that this terminal is going to actually open into a system that would allow him to actually write code, which is important for what he's about to do.
All right, give me a minute.
And then he just starts typing. So immediately he starts typing. What we're seeing here is actually true BASIC, not just kind of fake computer code of what writers would think it would look like. Okay, and this is the entire code, and I'll throw it up bigger up on the screen. First, what we're seeing along the left side here, we have the line number in tens. This was actually an intentional design in case you wanted to go back later and add to the code. You could put something in between 10 and 20, and it would go to line 15 and so on, just to kind of future-proof your code if you needed to add something in later. Up at the top, we have a 10 where it says dim 4-digit password integer. It is defining a variable called 4-digit password. It's saying that it is an integer. And then we go into four for loops, and those are just loops that loop from 0 to 9. And then he's doing that 4 times, creating I, J, K, and L, and then in 4-digit password, he's taking I, J, K, and L, and he's getting whatever is saved in them at the time and putting them into 4-digit password. And then he's using that to check if the password matches. So if check password match password, 4-digit password. If that is true, then he says go to 140, which 140 is where he actually will print out the 4-digit password, and then he ends the program. Now, this is all actually sound logic here. This is what is called a brute force algorithm. Brute force algorithm is where you basically just check all of the different possibilities that a password can be to see if it works. It's kind of like when you had a bike lock and you started at 0 and you checked to see if it would unlock, and then you went to 1, and then you would check all the way until you've guessed every single possible number. That's exactly what's going on here. Is he is guessing every single number between 0 and 9999 to see if it is the correct password. I've recreated the same exact code here in Python. It here works basically the same way. We go through our for loops, create our 4-digit number, and checks to see if the password matches. Now, the one thing that I've had to add to this, which is the most implausible part about this entire thing that Bob is doing in Stranger Things, is this check password match. This check password match basically is a function that just returns if the password that we've given it is the actual password. In this case, I'm using 9999. Now, in order for Bob to use this, he would have had to know that it was part of the Hawkins Lab system. It's not a built-in part of BASIC. It's something that they had to code in, which is kind of a flaw in their system. So this is kind of the most implausible part, is that there is a check password match that returns true and that Bob would know about it. However, if we run this, you'll see it actually runs fairly quickly. This is the largest number, so our code is actually going through 0 all the way up to 9999. So it's taking the max amount of time that it would need to take to guess a password, and it goes this fast. And it's already done, printing out the password at 9999. Now, what I can do is go and add in a print statement. This print statement that I've added here on line 14, all it does is it just shows what our current iteration of this 4-digit password is. And this kind of shows that we are going from 0 all the way up to 999. So if we run it now, it scrolls through all of them until we hit the final 999. Now, just to prove that it doesn't just count to 9999, we're going to go and put in a random number, and let's run it again. And as you can see, it goes all the way until it gets to that random number, which was 0150. This runs fairly quickly. This is a really easy method of cracking a password. So would this actually work in Stranger Things? Yes, with some caveats that this check password match exists in the system and that Bob would know about it. This would absolutely be something that someone with knowledge back in 1984 would be able to pull off, given this function exists somewhere in their code base, which is highly implausible. And it would be pretty implausible that Bob would know about it without having to go into the code base itself. So all in all, the code is real. The hacking is iffy, but would work under the circumstances. So this one is pretty dead on. And then later on in the episode, we get this gem.
Yes, the number that I gave you. Yes. 6767. I will be here.